need to figure out body worn microphones. Yeah, what are the new ones? Adapter, discrete. I think it's just the new ones. Yeah. And everyone started doing a kind of sound chat material, which is nice. So what do you say MOS stands for? Very good question, Funky Beat. There's lots of things, that kind of old German saying of mit und Sung, without sound. A funny one that you can always say is mixer outside smoking. Otherwise, it means mute on set, or motor only sync, or motor only sound, maybe, because that's the only sound that anyone else can hear. I don't know, there's too many. But yeah, definitely mixer outside smoking is quite funny. Or yeah, that's probably the best one I've got, probably. So it's going round, seeing if there's anything else going on. Yeah, 61 is definitely very good. Sorry, getting distracted looking at all the other things. Does anyone else have any questions? You can also ask me about career stuff as well. I know lots of people, like there's no film school or anything that really talks about that. Don't even learn about tax in secondary school, for instance. So we'll see if I can, yeah, get some other stuff going. I'm here for about another 15 minutes, probably, unless things go crazy. So it's always good to get a few answers. Under the table, anyone else with any other questions or anything else I can help with? Let me know in those comments. I'm here for you. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. A lot of fun times. And then, yeah, I'll delete this and make this kind of separate videos, I think. But there's a lot of space doing all these things spontaneously. Let me know what you guys think of my newest kind of thing of basically I'm going to be posting kind of part of the sound chats every 6 hours. So at 2 a.m. in the morning, 8 a.m. in the morning, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and 8 a.m. British Standard Time. Because then I also figured that with an audience kind of around the world, this would be good for everyone. And then everyone can continually kind of find nice little snippets of content that aren't too kind of intensive. So let me know what you think about that as well. There's a lot to go through. Again, I've done over like 40 hours of interviews, people like Simon Hayes, Jeff Wexler. Just finished chopping up the Mark Weingarten one, who did Interstellar and loads of amazing other things. So yeah, should be pretty good. Okay, Justin Haynes, I think that's how you say that. What is your preferred sample rate bit depth for recording? Do you ever go, I guess that's ever go higher for special purposes? So I'm always 24 bits and 48 kilohertz. Only time potentially to go higher is maybe with some slow motion stuff, just to get off. Basically, yeah. I mean, basically, your sample rate is just giving you so the idea of 48 is that it covers all the frequencies when you play it back. So slow motion sound, when you play it back, you basically have enough samples to still reproduce the highest sound, even when you've stretched that sound, because you have enough samples. Or at least that's my thoughts anyway. And so even then, it's very rarely. I would say maybe sound effects recording. Some people do 96. There's people that say they can hear the difference between 44.1 and 48. So I'm sure maybe there's some extra there's some extra kind of depth, or there's some extra kind of sound within that. So yeah, but generally 48, 24 bits is what I'm using pretty much all the time, because I'm doing obviously lots of dialogue stuff. Vasco, hey Matt, first off, how am I today? I'm very well, doing lots of post-production, so obviously thought I would jump on here for a little bit, have a little session with you guys as well. I'll be deleting this video afterwards, but I'll try and make a note of all the questions and do separate videos on them. And if you haven't heard already, I'm going to be trying to release content every 6 hours of every day for as long as I can at the moment. So yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, and we'll try and get some good stuff going. Pasquin, hi Matt, have you used the Sync 1, and what are my thoughts on it, and did you find yourself needing Genlock regularly? So first off, I haven't used it yet. I'm trying to get my hands on one just to do tests on, because I'm quite happy with Tentacles at the moment, and I'm still testing out the ambient nano lockets, which are going very well. Do I need Genlock regularly? No. Is it nice to have? Definitely yes. Same with that it has word clock as well, which is obviously locks sample rates of recorders together. So it's definitely an incredible product in terms of offering just those 3 things all at once, both kind of LTC, which is the audio time code, offering normal time code, I'll call it, so it's not on the kind of audio track, word clock, Genlock. So that kind of, yeah, that's really good, basically. You probably only need Genlock definitely in scenarios of live television, because syncing multiple cameras together. And if you have the option of both and the camera does it, then why not? You just get a more accurate kind of sync. Yeah, and I've done a video on the difference between Genlock and timecode as well, so you can always look that up if you need to. So hopefully that answers that. But me, no, I've never used Genlock myself, and not sure I would unless it was live television. But again, if I had the option, I probably would use it. So, Funky Beat had to mic up some chef coats the other day with snaps, so no buttons with holes, thick fabric. Options seem to be hiding the mic just under the neck. Any suggestions besides the shoulder? So with the chef, I mean, they do wear a hat. You can try and hide it in the hat. Get a wire kind of down the back, if that's an option. Yeah, if they're thick all the way through, it is very hard. What I would do is try and boom as well. That's probably going to get the most natural sound. And then you can always mix and have a bit of a kick from your radio, which may be awkwardly positioned a bit too close, a bit too deep. But it'll give a nice kick in the mix, or like presence to the voice as opposed to the actual cooking, depending on what it is. Obviously, like throwing a steak on is probably going to overtake it. But yeah, I that's my rough suggestion so far. Go for the head, and otherwise, I don't know what else they wear. They don't really have scarves or anything, do they? So yeah, if it's buttoned up all the way to the top, then you just have to try and poke it out. It's a bit annoying, but yeah, hopefully you can make it work. Let me know how you get on. So Vasco, I'll leave a question then. Have you done ADR mixing post-production? What does your plugin chain look like for interior scenes? Do you have any tips? ADR mixing. So yeah. So yes, I've done some ADR mixing. I've definitely done lots of post-production for kind of like feature films, post-work. Lots of more like blending in VO. In terms of a signal chain, I'm trying to think is what am I generally putting on? So probably EQ first. Noise reduction first, and then EQ, and then you can do like EQ match with the isotopes, which is quite good. So maybe you need to give me a bit more clarity in terms of just the problem that you're trying to solve, because it's quite a general one. I'm trying to think of a good example. But an interior scene is probably the same as an exterior scene. I'd probably still maybe put a bit of light noise reduction on, maybe some C4 It depends on what type of mic it is, if it's a boom mic, if it's a radio, if I'm mixing them together. So yeah, I don't know, but always start with EQ and maybe a bit of what else? Declicking, that kind of thing. Daniel asks, how do you bill for post work? Hourly rate or day rate, like sound mixing, specifically noise reduction and sweetening work? I've now tended to do everything under day rate, just because it's easier. But what I'll do is effectively it'll be an hourly rate. So I'll charge a day, but because there's always things where they come back. So for instance, this week I've got quite a lot of things on that are all post-production. So I'm kind of in the same place anyway. So it's fine to kind of flitter in between projects. The nature of like the the creative content type stuff that I'm doing at the moment, it does kind of require a whole day, but kind of not all at once. So I'm just charging per day and then letting it not go over a couple of days, but I'll maybe only do like, for instance, this morning I did like 3 hours on one thing and then they needed changes to the edit, but they were very happy with where it's going. So I kind of just put that on hold and then I went and did another project for the rest of the day. And then, so tomorrow they'll probably come back or later tonight and then I can kind of pick that up again. But obviously if it starts going kind of over time, then I'll just charge another day. So that's kind of my vague kind of billing rate. I find when it's billing specifically for hours, it just gets a bit tricky, and some people get really pedantic with does the file transferring time count as hours? Does this count as hours? It just feels a bit too messy. So I'd rather go, okay, you got a full day. It's like 10 hours, and then yeah, and then we'll just make it work. And if it's just taking longer than it should, then I'll just bill another day. Because it's taking me an extra full day of not doing something else or focusing on something else. Awesome. So hopefully that answers your question as well. This is good. We're getting quite a few questions under the belt. And yeah, there is a bit of a delay, sorry. So any of your answers, yeah, I'm trying to get to all the questions. So yeah. Funky Beat, do you approach putting mic on talent who used to be mic'd differently than talent who are not used to be? Generally kind of all the same. I just tell them where I'm going to put the mic and then just say that the cable has to go down the top or down the front or down the back. Some people that have already been used to miking will naturally like turn their back to you, for instance, because they know that you're just going to put it straight down the back of their shirt and stuff. But generally, it's always the questions of just like, I'm going to put this here. Where's a comfortable spot for me to put the pack for you? Some people prefer ankle belts, some people prefer or thighs, depending if it's a skirt. Some people prefer waist. Some people prefer clip. Some people prefer just in the pockets. And so whatever works for me and works for them is the kind of ideal approach that I'm kind of going for. So yeah, that's pretty much the conversation that goes on with miking up any actors. Obviously, if there's any kids or anyone who needs a chaperone, then you ask the chaperone and you say you're going to put it here, and then you tell the chaperone where they would like the pack. So yeah, hopefully that helps with that kind of scenario. Vasco, it was a weird question, so I'll get onto a new one. Okay, while booming, do you ever prefer an internal wired boom or direct mic to mixer XLR? I've never done an internal boom. I can definitely see some of the advantages. Some of the disadvantages, maybe that the pole's just naturally heavier. Yeah, I think in the UK it's a big thing to just always go around the outside. I don't know, I just have that as just a general thing. The closest I get to is I had like a coiled cable, and so I was just able to easily kind of stretch that around the outside. So they're all direct into my mixer XLR. Ooh, sorry, long day. Okay, Pasquin, thanks for that. Have you ever worked in very cold conditions? If so, any tips to avoid issues? Firstly, keep warm. I managed to find some mittens that also had fingerless thumbs. Actually, very hard to find. So yeah, just making sure that you're warm. Generally, all your equipment, unless it's like ridiculously cold, is going to probably be fine. Snow can be an issue sometimes. Just generally having kind of waterproof stuff to lay things on or put down, or even if you get an umbrella, protects you from potentially the rain or the wind. So yeah, that kind of general stuff. But generally, nothing jumps out at me straight away, apart from as long as you can keep yourself warm and things that are generally going to get wet. I'm assuming that it's going to like snow if it's super cold or you're in a super cold place. So yeah, keeping things dry and keeping yourself warm. Alejandro, hi Matt, just purchased the Zoom F8 recorder. Congratulations. What's a good external battery do you recommend I purchase next? Well, to be honest, there are many, many options. I have personally only ever used MP1 batteries, funnily enough. So MP1 batteries are massive things, and they're definitely going to power your Zoom for a full day if you buy a new one today. Mine are a few years old now, so I probably go through about 2 a day. But yeah, always not had problems. Not had problems with them. So yeah, everything's kind of been fine. There's also audio route solutions. There's like Sony batteries that you can plug on, or kind of adapters and sleds. Like the sleds are just the things that you can clip batteries to for various camera batteries. But yeah, just my personal experience, never had any problems with MP1 batteries, and they just brought out a new higher voltage one as well. So it should last even longer. I think you can pick up 2 and a charger for about 330 quid though. So maybe another solution is just trying to get one of those Sony batteries and a sled. And then as long as you can get the right adapter to plug into, probably check out Hawkwood's adapters for a Zoom F8, I guess, is the first thing that comes to mind. And they should be fine as well. So hopefully that answers your questions. Justin, pros and cons of ADR on set while tapes versus ADR in post. So I love wild lines. Wild lines are great. Wild lines, they're in the moment. So pros, they're in the moment. They know what they've just said. They know the context of the scene. Cons may still not be an ideal environment. May not give a good enough performance, or they might just be really bad at kind of remembering what they just did. And kind of the same for ADR and post. It's been like a year and a half since they shot the film or something like that, and so then it's hard to remember. They're in a completely different environment. They often don't have other actors acting with them, so anything to feed off. So that's kind of really tricky for them to get back in the headspace. Some of them just don't understand the process or have never done the process before. And so kind of walking them through and being like, okay, this is why we're doing this, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that would be my kind of rough tips on pros and cons of ADR versus wild lines. But I find wild lines do work beautifully quite a lot of the time, depending on the cuts, depending on, I mean, ADR for off-screen lines, for instance, is just as easy as wild lines on set. So yeah, kind of depends on what you need, but it should be fine. Funky Beat, I worked in a cold film shoot once and wore the fur cover on my Olympus hat. Worked surprisingly well. Good to know. Fun fact. Vasco, do you generally work with a sound cart or just a bag with everything in it, given as it isn't a run and gun documentary? I still operate everything out of a bag. I've spent lots of stupid money on like Electrosonics wireless and like basically all really good gear. So again, not stupid money. But my next stage of then going to the cart, it kind of felt like it was a lot of money for not so much practicality. Even though I'm starting to shoot more features and generally trying to have them in more of a mix of what I shoot every year, I haven't just taken the leap yet and gotten a sound card, but I've gotten everything else like Betso fins and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's definitely on my list. But yeah, generally because of the mix of work that I do, I'm pretty much always in a bag anyway. And even if it's then on a film set and have a boom op and that kind of thing, still have a bag just for portability. And then I just carry my Pelly case, which would carry my bag in it anyway. So yeah, I'm not really missing out on anything yet. But yeah, definitely a cart is on the cards. Funky Beats, what do you do with the MP1s when they won't charge anymore? I know you're not supposed to throw them away. Yes, I haven't thrown any. I've got 3 that are now dead. You can get them reselled, I believe. Don't know if it's worth it. Need to put them to a recycling center or something, I think. I need to actually get in contact with Swit. That's what I've been meaning to do. So let's see. Alejandro, what do you think is better, Sennheiser G3s or the Lectrosonics 400 series? I think it depends on your needs. I've never been let down by Sennheiser G3s, although I'm sure the Lectrosonics 400 series is really, really good. And I know a lot of people in the US especially, they kind of step up from G3s to that. I just like G3s just for the ease of the 3.5mm cable, being able to just easily switch them, plug stuff back in. And I don't know if the 400 series has the same TA3 connector on the top for the actual mics, but having the ability to easily just switch something out as comms or yeah, an extra feed for a camera is yeah, it's a pretty good thing. So it depends what you need. I think definitely in terms of quality wise, Lectrosonics 400 sounds like a good deal. But G3s, again, depending if you need that flexibility, I wouldn't be, I don't know, I'd be half and half. So I hope that kind of roughly helps. I don't know if they sound much better, but definitely before you think of getting either G3s or Lectrosonics 400s, make sure you have really good mics, either the Sankens, the DPAs, the Countrymans, there's loads of them. The Sennheiser's MKE2, which is their like good one, not the their default one that comes with the G3. So yeah. Well, everything's going on. Oh, okay. Wait. So Vasco, great for a person starting to buy gear, only earning a H6 right now. What do you recommend? Definitely not cheaping out on. So I have a general policy of buy once, cry once. And it's a slightly painful process of basically saving up lots of money and then buying one good thing that will basically last forever. So I would say the microphones, just in general, whether they're radio microphones as in the actual capsules, not wireless packs, boom microphones, like hypercardios, shotguns, that kind of thing. I would never cheap out on them, generally because they're going to last you forever. And so the same with the wireless. Now that the wireless, in terms of the high end, is getting so good, yeah, it's just a case of saving up and buying ones and crying ones. But so I wouldn't really. It depends what your setup is in terms of mics and stuff. But I think naturally for you, your progression should be maybe an F4, an F8, or if you don't have that good of shotguns or that good of actual wireless mics, then I'd probably go for those first because it's all part of the same puzzle, unfortunately. So yeah. Alejandro, I've heard the G3's clip. Have you ever had that happen to you? Again, the clipping factor is due to just gain settings. So that can happen with any mic. If you're not changing your gain settings on your wireless for any scene that becomes very dynamic, then you're going to get that. And yeah, it is really, really bad if you are. Oh, you retracted the message. It is really bad if the game, yeah, if it does clip, then it's terrible. And I think the Lectrosonics would have better limiters, and that's one of the reasons why I love my current SRBs. Yeah, just because of the SMVs, SMQVs, just because they have the better limiters. So Let's go. Yeah, no worries. I will see you in the next stream. Yeah, spontaneous one, as always, unfortunately. Alejandro, yeah, no worries, man. Hopefully that kind of answered your question on it. Yeah, the G3s, they are horrible when they do clip. But it maybe is just your settings on your game, because they shouldn't clip normally unless there's like a wiring issue. So I'm not sure about that. So, any other? I mean, it's been about half an hour, so maybe I should curtail and cut this one a bit shorter. But do stay tuned to the channel. Basically, we'll be releasing content every 6 hours, as well as other stuff. Although there's a few more questions. Have you ever used cardioids indoors? In what situations? I've used hypercardioids, which are kind of like a bit smoother roll off than shotguns, but they're a tight pattern than cardioids. Love them for indoor work, even outdoor work when it's quiet. So in what situations? Dialogue, I guess. Cardioids obviously better maybe in group scenarios. So maybe I should buy a cardioid for that. But even a hypercardioid, just slight movements and you're fine. The main benefits of them obviously inside are that the roll off of the frequency response is really, really equal. So it's basically just feels like it's going down in level and not being kind of discolored as you tilt away. Let's go. Oh, quick thing before I run off. Do you take in new assistants in any jobs? Or do you have a present team that you usually call out to help? Unfortunately, the kind of work that I do, it doesn't offer a kind of stable team that I'm always having a boom op with. I do quite a lot that is kind of sound recordists. For the features, kind of already have boom ops in place and stuff at the moment. But it is something that I'm trying to work on, because obviously with all this kind of sound rolling content thingy, it's all about trying to get more people into the business and into the sound world in a more kind of practical way. Well, not practical way, but in a way that kind of just straight up tries to answer questions and just share opinions, rather than this kind of hidden kind of you should already know this kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely always worth asking loads of other people. And what you want to do if you want to be a sound utility is literally just keep in contact and ask as many mixers as possible that question as often as possible without getting annoying. And yeah, you should be good. Alejandro, the COS 11s or the Countryman, which is better? You put COS 100s, but I think you mean COS 11s. And I would say COS 11s. The Countrymans are great for hiding, but I've heard that the smaller capsules are kind of trickier. Yeah. If you ever hire a boom op, I don't mind crossing the pond. Well, that's very good. Well, hopefully we will all get to meet. I need to do more actual physical meetups. The last one I had, I then got work for, so it's maybe something I should keep setting up, because I'll keep getting work. But yeah, whereabouts are you, Alejandro? Or is this the same Alejandro from Colombia? So many names. That's the problem. I'm only good at doing things that are directly in front of me, unfortunately. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is close the live stream, and then I'm going to chop this video up. Oh, Chicago, definitely be over there. Hopefully. I need to do like a tour of America. Hopefully, with a good buddy, Alan. Saw someone ask, who's the guy on the Denicky slate? Oh, really? People, oh, dear. Yeah, bless. Forum culture definitely has its place. But it's, yeah, you gotta be brave to play in the MMA. Okay, guys, right, I'm going to close this off now, and there will be another spontaneous one soon. Check our content every 6 hours from 8 p.m., 2 p.m., 2 a.m., 8 a.m. every day, from clips from the kind of sound chat series. And I'm going to be trying to do even more to provide more useful content, more comparisons, that kind of thing. There's loads that I need to do, unfortunately. And even as we speak, I need to get back to work. So Until then, you can check out another video in about an hour's time. It's already scheduled up. It's very exciting. And yeah, until then, I will see you later.